I'd like to call this meeting to an order. Roll call.
Mr. Dangler,
Here.
Dr. Vogt,
Here.
Mrs. Wittes,
Here.
Dr. Selly,
Here.
and Mr. Vieira.
Here.
I hereby certify that this meeting has been published in the newspaper and adequate electronic notice has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act and New Jersey Administrative Code Title 5, Chapter 39, Section 1.5, Notice of Remote Public Meetings as required by law.
All right, thank you. We're going to start out with our presentation from PSA, Princeton and the Wildcats. Is anybody here?
Yeah, my name is Ollie Hillock. I'm the executive director.
All right, it's all yours, buddy.
Okay, so am I welcome to share my screen here?
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, first of all, thank you for your time this evening, council members. We appreciate the opportunity to present about the club. We were asked to present based around our past and current agreement regarding the use of Manhasset Park soccer fields in relation to the discount we give to Long Branch residents to be members of our program. So currently, in the current 2020-21 soccer season, we have 61 Long Branch residents currently participating in the club. That breaks down to 56 male players and 5 female players. Those players totally receive discounts that amount to $69,005. We have an arrangement of discounted prices for each age group, which will be on the next slide. But on top of those discounts, we actually provide an additional $25,505 of needs-based financial aid, which is for players and families who can't afford the fees, through an application process to support them and stop anyone not being able to play the sport with our organization based on their background and income. Based on this, the discounts provided to the residents, we could actually rent the space that we use at Manhasset Park fields for a significantly reduced amount to us as an organization, for the space used based on the rental fees. But this relationship's always been built on us wanting to give the opportunity to the players of Long Branch and the residents, not prohibiting and preventing them the opportunities to play with us and get the development and coaching that we provide. So we're looking to continue that relationship and continue to build that relationship. We want to try and get more players from Long Branch involved and playing on our teams and our programs. So currently, this is the structure of pricing that our club has and what is offered for the Long Branch residents. As you can see there, there's significant savings across the different age groups, from our youngest age group at 77, which is under 9s, to our 11-11s that goes all the way through to under 18s and under 19s, boys and girls. Our proposal here is to have no increase in rate for the next soccer season through 2021 and 2022. So that would be a full 2 years with no increase in the rate for Long Branch residents in our club. So big goals for us or desires for us would be to increase the participation of Long Branch residents in our club. And there are 4 different ways I feel this can be developed and enhanced. The first, with partnering with the recreation program and the department to increase the participation in that program and have our staff and organization help with the operation of the recreational soccer program in town. The next be our Junior Development Academy, which is a free program for 2 birth years each year. And I'll go on to these in more detail in a moment. So marketing and information support from the City of Long Branch and the Recreation Department. And then finally, marketing support from the school systems. So to go into each of those in a little more detail, the recreation program, the goal is to increase recreation participation from 3 through 11 years of age. They're the main ages of participation in recreation programs. When you get to around 9, 10 years old, the participation rates in recreation soccer drop off significantly, typically because at that age, many players have decided or are deciding whether they want to continue in the sport from a competitive standpoint with travel teams and club teams, or if they're going to pursue a different sport or different activity in general. So we can work with the recreation department. We have a recreation program that we run already as an organization in different parts of the state. And our structure is an 8-week program, 1 hour a week, and the cost is $89 per player to participate in that. That is coached by our full-time professional coaches within that structure. We're more than happy to work with the recreation department on adjusting that program to whatever the needs are of Long Branch Township, to facilitate reducing the costs, the length of the program, accessibility for players, all those different things. We're more than happy to sit down and discuss what may be needed or desired. Another program we'd like to introduce, if we're involved with that, would be a coach development and mentorship program for high school age students, players who are in our club, but not solely that, other players who are in Long Branch in the high school programs perhaps, who are looking to get involved in coaching and give back to the community and to younger players, and to help them with the community service, developing those players into leaders, into mentors of young players, and helping them develop through that. The next program would be our Junior Development Academy. So this is a step further from the recreation program, where we offer currently in this soccer year, it's a free program for the full year for players born in 2014 and 2015 birth years. Next soccer year, in the 2021-2022, it'd be 2015 and 2016. The same age groups each year, and as we go through each year, the birth year obviously adjusts. The goal is to have 24 players in each age group, male and female, giving a total of 96 players for free for a full year. Those players have the opportunity to trace twice per week in Long Branch. In the fall and the spring seasons, they play a couple of festival games. This is for players then to have the opportunity and bridge that gap between recreational soccer and travel and competitive soccer. It bridges the gap, introduces them to a program that's a little bit more committed, a little bit more forward on the technical development side, and initiates and helps them get through that and see if it's something they're really interested in committing to as they get older. We can work with this that would help the recreation program in that players are selected from the recreation program. So we could work with that increasing the recreational program significantly from a volume standpoint. Then we can select players for our JDA program who are players who have only been a member of the recreation program at that point in time too. That would then entice people to become members of the recreation program, and this is part of the pathway then to progress from there. The only cost we have in that program is for players to purchase a minimal uniform package, which is about $150, and that package lasts them two full years. So how do we get more people involved? How do we get more residents involved with our programs from recreation through the JDA into the travel and club teams? Getting the information out to the residents of Long Branch is the biggest piece of information. We have internal designers in our organization. We can get flyers developed digitally. We can get them made physically. If we have support through the recreation department and the city council of how we distribute this information to the residents, getting the information out to them, it'd be fantastic. Email marketing, physical flyers, strategically where these things be placed to get the most exposure from the residents of the town would be great. And that's how we're going to get the information out and the players looking to come and get involved. From there, word of mouth spreads in the different areas where people live, and there's no reason why participation from the recreation level and above cannot significantly increase and improve. The final piece of the puzzle would be through the school systems. We've built a relationship with the superintendent of schools, Dr. Salvatore. He is willing and looking to work with us on the distribution of our program information to all the school students throughout the district, which is fantastic. We also have a strong relationship currently with the boys coaching staff in the middle school and high school teams who support that, and that kind of reflects in the number of boys players we have participating in the teams right now. We don't currently have as much support from the female staff or the female team staff in the middle school and high school, and I feel like those reflect some of the lower numbers on the girls side. but something that we feel if that improves and is supported in that side will significantly increase the number of players in those age groups playing travel and club soccer in town, and would also then improve the programs in the schools as well. So that's trying to stay obviously within our time limit of presenting. That's the information. More than happy to answer questions that you may have at this time.
Thank you. Does any member of the council have any questions?
Yeah, I want to go back to his first slide. He said there were 56 young men involved. Are they active players or just name on a roster?
They are active players.
Okay.
I have a question. How long has Princeton Soccer League been involved with Long Branch students? The Long
So,
Branch community.
The PSA Wildcats has been here for 3 years. Previously, it was the New Jersey Wildcats
Mhm.
that had been in town much longer. That's before myself. Then the New Jersey Wildcats, which is run by Kevin McDermott, who's on the call too. He merged his organization with PSA as we look to improve from there. So PSA specifically has been in for 3 years, but the New Jersey Wildcats was many years longer than that.
And have you had a recreation program prior to presenting this one to us this year?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Your recreation program that you're presenting to us this year,
Yeah.
for this year. Have you done this in the past with Long Branch, or is this
No.
new?
Not with Long Branch, no.
Is there a
Long Branch has
reason
had
why?
it because you've had a program in existence already, and we had, that's wasn't what we were asked to do. We run recreation programs in some of the other towns that we work in, but that's based on request, and through discussions with the recreation department, it was made known to us that they may be interested. So we presented that today.
Thank you.
Let me ask you a question. Do you have like a lower bracket for like players that don't make the cut? Do you have like a lower league for these players to get better developed?
Yeah, so we have teams of varying levels right now. We have teams who are competing on the national level, and we have teams who are competing very locally, and everything in between. There's a big range. Obviously, when forming teams, it requires a certain volume of players to form teams. As of right now, there's no player who is desired to play with our organization not on a team. So no players from Long Branch who have tried to play on one of our teams has been turned away from playing on one of our teams.
Thank you.
Ollie, can I ask you a little bit about the junior development program? So that would be new, correct? That hasn't
Correct.
been in. So in other words, the current rec programs, kids pay a nominal fee, and then if I'm not mistaken, they're run by volunteer coaches. Is that right?
I believe so.
So how would your program work then? Like the 96 children, how would they be selected from that group?
It's an inclusive process. It's not tryout based where we're looking at players' abilities and things like that. It's inclusive, and the important parts of players being involved are one, them wanting the commitment of additional time. So it's twice a week training during the fall, the winter, and the spring. So it's different commitment level from just a once a week, maybe in one single season that they're used to with a recreation program. Second from that, it's coached by full professional coaches. We believe that it's very, very important at these young ages to develop players the right way, and then have the opportunities to develop the right way at the young ages. As the players get older, it's much harder to technically develop players. So we want to try and get in front of players at a young age who are interested in the sport, they want to develop the love for the sport, so that when they get to 10, 11, 12, hopefully they're not dropping out of the sport and deciding not to play, but we're actually increasing the participation as we get there too.
So in other words, the idea would be that whoever participates in the Long Branch soccer program would be eligible up to 100 total students to then have additional participation in other programs with you at no cost other than the uniform fee.
Correct.
Okay. And then do you still have to work? Is that would be indoor, outdoor, or both?
Yes, the fall and spring would be outdoors, and the winter would be indoors.
Okay. And then so obviously you would use the Manhasset Fields for when it's outdoors. you would establish a program or with wherever you do indoors at this point, or you're just outdoors, right?
We're just outdoors right now with the facility specifically from the city of Long Branch. We do have a relationship with the schools, and we would look to develop use of the school gyms for the winter time for this program.
Do they donate that space to you?
Yes.
So they would do the same with this program, obviously. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
I just had a question when you said work with, and exactly kind of what work with, means with the recreation department, and what is there any impact on cost with that?
No, not at all. So when I say work with is because we can come in and completely operate the recreational program from start to finish for the soccer program, if that was what desired. And the way I say work with it is I'm not coming to try and step on anyone's toes and say that this is what you should do and we should operate it and we should do everything for you, right? We can do that, absolutely, more than willing and happy to do so. However, there's a range obviously in between where, perhaps the recreation department wants to take the registrations and keep all the registrations come through the recreation department, then we operate from there, or we just do the coaching. There's so many different levels in between. And so when I say work with, I'm willing to sit down, have a discussion and see what's desired, and trying to facilitate what is a happy medium for everybody.
And so what you're saying is that wouldn't have any impact on cost, positive or negative.
Correct.
Particularly when you're talking about marketing.
Correct.
Okay. There was one other thing. It was like on the second slide, or very early on, and I just think it had to do with use of the fields and the relationship that you've had in the past that you want to continue.
Councilwoman, I don't think we can hear you.
We're losing you, Anita.
Okay, sorry. This was, is that better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Much better.
Okay. It's something that you said early on in your presentation, and I think it had to do with use of the fields, and if it was payment or not payment, and a relationship that you had that you would like to continue. Could you just elaborate on that a little bit,
Yeah,
if I heard it correctly?
Yeah, for the 2019-20 soccer season, we had a contract in place with the city where we had use of 2 of the turf fields at Manhasset Park, Monday through Friday, I think from 4 till dark, and then on Saturdays and Sundays from 12 till dark. And in return for that, we provided the discounts to the Long Branch residents to use those fields.
Okay, so that was, I guess what you're saying is, in effect, that was a way of paying for use of the fields by giving a discount?
Yeah, so in my slide, basically, this current soccer year, we're providing $69,005 of discounts to Long Branch residents.
Mhm.
If we didn't have that discount system in place and we just applied for permits just to rent the fields out, the space that we use would cost around $30,000 in rental fees. So we feel that
Assuming the city could accommodate you to rent it to it, you're a for-profit business, and that fee doesn't apply to you. So if you were a not-for-profit league and did that, that would be one thing, but you're a for-profit business, and we generally don't rent out the fields for somebody to run a business on them.
okay.
So,
I
just want to make sure that we understand that that's not, so the council doesn't think that that's the comparison here. The comparison here is you would have to negotiate a contract with us to use the fields, and the compensation would be the compensation that the town decides to charge you. You're not just somebody who shows up on a Saturday and would like to use the field one day and pays a fee for it. You would like to run a business on the township's Green Acres funded park. So it's so I just want to make sure we understand that we're talking about the same thing.
If I may respond to that, the numbers I've used are all the publicly published numbers that you have online.
But you don't. They don't apply to you, because we would not normally let somebody run a business on. If you decided that you wanted to run a 7-Eleven, we wouldn't let you plop it down in the middle of our park. Those are fees that are set for not-for-profit organizations. We generally don't rent out our fields for-profit businesses.
Okay.
So just so you understand, the reason you have a contract is because you're required to negotiate a contract with the city. That's why. So I just want to, I don't, when you say that, it's not really a good comparison.
Okay. I
Um,
was just going for the information. That was all.
I have a question.
Billy, I'm sorry, could I just get one more point of clarification, Lou?
Yeah,
So
let's questions.
if it's presented that we're doing this in collaboration with the Recreation Department, does that change the status of what you just said in terms of
Well,
the?
the first thing is and that was really going to be my comment at the end of all of this. I don't know that, we're talking about we're talking about somebody who would like to negotiate a contract, and typically, honestly, this is something that's done by the administration and then presented to council at some point in time. That's not what's happening here. This is somebody who's going directly to council and has bypassed both the recreation department, the mayor, and by the way, you have recreation leagues that probably all have an input into this. And 2 weeks ago, we got a presentation from somebody else who wanted to do the same thing. So my recommendation would be not to take council's whole meeting up here tonight, is that maybe this is better something that's directed back to the rec department and the administration so that we could get all of the stakeholders involved and figure out where there is a place for everybody.
So if I may respond to that,
It's not something that you can respond to, because in all due respect, your opinion as to whether or not you should deal with the mayor or the council is not really something that's relevant now. That is the way this form of government works.
We were requested to come on to. We were requested to present.
Not by the administration.
Absolutely.
Okay.
May I interrupt?
Sure.
If I may? I apologize. My name is Jonathan Samoas. I currently work with PSA.
Okay, we have to cut this down. We're running out of time. Okay,
All right,
guys?
I didn't get my question out either.
Billy's gotta
I'll
get
be very
started.
quick if I may. The only reason we're here is because we did attempt to have this negotiation with Mr. George Jackson, and I believe yourself, Mr. Raynon. We were told that we had to come to this meeting for this because of
Not by George
COVID-related
or I.
reasons. That's actually why we're here, sir. I hate to.
It certainly wasn't by me, and I don't think it was.
It must have been a
I think you spoke to one of the
misunderstanding.
council people and they invited you to come.
Okay, must have been a misunderstanding because last time they didn't get a chance to represent when they was with Carl, because it was executive session. So, okay,
I'm just trying to clarify that we had email correspondence prior, before the July 31st expiration of our contract. We were supposed to have a new contract either resolved or not resolved. And it was pushed due to COVID. There was no time to have the meeting. I believe Mr. Jackson can comment on it because I did speak to him directly about this, just to clarify. 'cause I
There
don't
was
wanna put the
there was
wrong
an
information out.
occasion about 2 months ago, roughly, where there was a discussion that was going to take place with Mr. Jennings and council, and I inadvertently and incorrectly thought you could be involved in that in a closed session. That's not acceptable here, so you weren't allowed in. As far as tonight's session, it didn't come from me. One of the council members put this on the agenda. And
yes,
I'm
I
not
put
sure
it,
exactly who.
Yeah, so, and I'm
I
not,
put it-
by the way, I'm not
Okay.
prejudging anything. What I'm saying is that, and my suggestion, Council President, and I apologize because it's the Council President's,
Oh.
is that this get directed back. I mean, after what happened, that you weren't led into the closed session, I thought that Mr. Jackson and I were going to meet with you and discuss this matter further. We needed to talk to our client, who is the council, the mayor and the council, before we did that. So now we're here, but my suggestion is because there's the rec leagues who are involved, there's another, I'm going to call him a vendor who's involved. You've now presented something that's different than certainly Mr. Jackson or I heard before, that this should probably be directed back to the administrative employees who are responsible for this to try to make some sense of it. And then we'll come back to council with some recommendations. That's all I'm suggesting.
I agree with you, Mr. Raynon, 100%. It should go back to recreation and let them work it out and let her bring it up to us. Okay, Ali,
Here's
thank
my-
you, thanks.
No,
Oh,
hold
Billy,
on,
I'm sorry,
hold
Billy,
on.
I'm sorry, Billy.
No
Right,
problem.
that's-
Nope, not a problem. Here's my two quick questions. One, when does your program start? If everything fell the way you're asking? What, May, April, when does it start?
It
So
already
the-
started,
the-
sir.
The soccer season already started in August and runs through July of 2021.
But not in the wintertime. You're not out on our fields. I want to know when the use of
do-
our fields.
The prior contract had us able to use the fields year round. But typically in the
Okay.
winter, our use is significantly like very, very
But-
little, correct?
Well, here's my food for thought. You said roughly from 4 until dark every
Mhm.
day. That does not allow anybody else to use the field.
It's
have
only two fields.
Two fields.
Manahasset Park.
Correct. It has 4 fields and we have use of 2.
Okay, so that's 50% of the park. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Billy. Thank you, Ally. Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank
everyone's
you.
time.
No
Appreciate
problem.
it.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night.
All right.
All right, now we're going on over to Michael Martin. Mike, you around?
Yes, sir, I
All
am.
yours. All yours, buddy.
What's on first? Capital?
Yeah.
Yes. Capital bond.
Okay.
No, I thought the capital bond has been pulled, hasn't it?
Yeah, the capital bond was pulled.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
so I
apologize.
think best practices, Mike.
Okay, best
got it.
practices. You guys are pretty familiar with every year, the state gives us best practice questions to occupy our time for the month of October. And this year, they were unrelenting again and gave us 60 questions to answer. Only 29 of them were considered scoring questions. We did very well. We got 23 positive scores, and we only needed to achieve 16 positive scores in order to avoid any penalty of state aid. So we were very successful this year, as in prior years, of avoiding any penalty of state aid due to our policies and procedures put into effect in this city. I sent out the questions. I sent out the answers. I know it was just recently before the meeting, but we were just working on them right up until this afternoon. Does anyone have any questions on any of the questions or the answers that we proceeded? Thank you, Mayor, for bringing up number 2. That's been corrected already.
Mhm.
Anyone have
I
any
have-
other?
I
Go
do.
ahead. Yes.
My one question was also number 2. However, I saw number 33 regarding health, and it says technical non-monetary association. What does that mean as far as the health department? It's number 33.
I could only presume that that means advice,
What do you
Some type
mean?
of direction, anything the state could offer as far as procedures, advice. I really, that was the best thing that I could think of to answer. We, non-monetary, we
Mhm.
got everything pretty covered.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Mike, just having gotten this, a very short time before the meeting, what kind of action do you need from us? Is this council approval or what has to
No,
happen?
pretty much the state just asked us to discuss the best practices with you and make you aware of the answers that are being submitted. So this is kind of
One of
procedural.
the best practices is that you review the best practices with
With council.
the council. Right? Like, I don't know how else to put it.
So I'm hoping that one of the best practices is also a 20, I think, what did you say? 23 out of 29, which is excellent. So nice job. But between the 23 and the 29, or even last year, was there anything that perhaps we didn't score as high as we would have liked? That was an improvement that was made.
They change the questions every year. They retired 9 questions from last year and added 9 totally new ones. Some of the questions are like a stormwater sewer utility. Do we have any interest in starting one of those? And some things are just very off the wall. I don't know how to describe it as a
Yeah.
better terminology, and very non-specific.
Impractical. Yeah.
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 Councilwoman, there are some of those questions that change every year. And I think that it's more, those questions, the non-scoring kind of questions, are the state gathering information about what the towns are doing. So
Okay.
there was a state law passed that allowed you to pass stormwater utilities. I don't know many towns that have done it. So I think that the state asked those questions because they're trying to find out, if they find out that 2 out of 565 municipalities did it, that causes them to go back into it and say, hey, what was wrong with this legislation? So some of it is them gathering in, some of them is them scoring us, but some of them is them simply gathering information. That's why those questions tend to change and vary, over the years.
Okay, okay.
Just for a point of example here, Councilwoman, if you look at question number 12, best
Mhm.
practices procurement,
Mhm.
it talks about whether or not we have an insurance broker for health insurance. And it goes on about that process. And our answer is NA. However, a best practice is to have the state health benefits plan, which we have. So we don't need a health insurance broker. So
Okay,
our best practice keeps us from putting a yes down there.
yeah,
You can see the conflict some of these questions presents.
yeah,
Right. Because we don't score a yes doesn't mean it's a no.
right, right.
In
Okay,
this
good,
case,
thank
it's
you.
not applicable.
Yep, good, thank you.
All right. Anybody else got questions for Mr. Martin?
No,
I
thank
don't
you.
have any questions. I just have a comment.
Go for it.
Mike, I hate to say, put you in the hot seat, but I did not appreciate getting the answers at 4 o'clock this afternoon. I know you said they were working on it, but this has been coming and going. Next year, it better not come 1 hour before we have a council meeting. That's my 2 cents. I'm sorry, but that's the way I feel. I don't like getting things at the last minute because you can't digest it. Maybe some people
I
can, but I can't.
My apologies.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, sir.
Okay. Review of the regular meeting agenda. Does anybody have any questions?
No,
No,
Okay. I need a motion to close.
So
so
moved.
moved.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. I need a motion to adopt a resolution to go into executive session for the following items: contract negotiations, update Seaview Towers, Louis Raynon, update Lower Broadway, Louis Raynon, discussion Chandler Mops, Louis Raynon, Nicholas Graviano, shared service, building department, attorney-client privilege, short cab, finance increase, George Jackson, chapter 247 parks and fees, Councilman Dangler and Council President Vieira, public safety, COVID-19 update, George Jackson.
so move.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.